In this week's passage, Jesus talks about blessing, and he's got some funny ideas about what constitutes blessing. It includes persecution, hunger, thirst, poverty. What's he talking about? And this week in particular, dealing with the national grief of yet another horrible crime that took lives in a school, to hear Jesus say, "Blessed are you when you mourn," sure makes you want to push back, explain that he's wrong, because where is the blessing for those who mourn? Well, the rest of the verse explains that Jesus isn't talking about the grief itself as the blessing, by no means. But even in that horrible suffering, there is something to be found that is a blessing, and when you mourn, the blessing is that you shall be comforted. You shall be comforted. In the moment and in the human interaction, the comforting may not come. In the human interaction, it may never come, at least certainly not the way we need it. What we need is the promise that you shall be comforted. And what we miss in translation, literally in translation, is that this is a Greek way of expressing a Hebrew thought. It's a future passive voice. In the Hebrew scriptures, that voice was often used to describe the actions of God, a way of avoiding using the name of God. Something that will be completed in the future is done by God. So when you mourn, you are comforted by God. That's a promise. And it's always true. And the times that you don't see it are the times that you don't see it. Because the first heart to break is God's. The blessing is that God will always be there with you, providing comfort, no matter how severe the suffering, no matter how persecuted you are, no matter how poor or how hungry or how thirsty you are. God remains there to bless. It's up to you and I to open our eyes and see the blessing.